exciting. It's about 7:30 at night when I'm recording, and so it's dark outside. And I don't think it's raining, but it is what it is. It has been a hot minute since I recorded last. The last episode I recorded was right before Christmas. I talked about the Christmas sweaters I knit. And finishing up Christmas knitting, and I would like to say, only 2 months later, that I actually was successful. I finished all of my Christmas knitting before Christmas. So I was able to finish all four for the Christmas sweaters. The last one I worked on was my niece's. And my niece and my nephew and my son all had matching sweaters, and we had photos taken, and they were adorable. And I love it. It's even more heartwarming. They're the first people I've really knit sweaters for outside of myself. And my son loves to wear his sweater. I've gone in his room and found him asleep with his sweater on over his jammies. And I was wondering, how is he not a hot mess, because he's a furnace. And we do keep the house warm because I'm always cold, and my husband acquiesces and lets me keep the house super warm in the winter, even because I'm always so cold. And so that's really sweet. He likes to wear it. I don't let him wear it to school because he's only 4, and he will absolutely destroy that sucker at school because he plays hard. And a couple weeks ago he came home with blew up to his elbows. Sorry, I can hear some cars outside. Blew up to his elbows because they played with food coloring and shaving cream. And he was the only kid. Blew up to his elbows, my husband said. Everybody else was like a little light on the hands, and he was like full bore, and he comes home covered in paint and stuff, so I don't let him wear a sweater and to school, but he can wear it at home and stuff. And then my mom told me that my nephew has been wearing his sweater, and he really likes it. And he'll go grab it, and he'll wear it around the house, and he'll wear it to school. So that's actually really exciting for me. I'm really glad the kids really like them. My son has asked for another sweater, so I am on the hunt for another kids pattern to make him for this next winter, and hopefully a little bigger so he can wear it longer like he is now. So I'm looking forward to that because their sweaters take way less time. Since I finished their sweaters, what has happened in this month? So I don't have one of my projects to show you guys because I am lazy and it's out in the car. I did some cleaning, and I unearthed a huge stash of Debbie Bliss Cashmerino Aran. And it is the softest, most cushy yarn. And I originally bought it ages and ages ago to knit a sweater out of Knitty called either Tempting or Temptation. I'm not sure which is the ending, but it's like a fully ribbed shirt with little ribbed sleeves. I actually knit that whole thing up, and then it was way too big. The ribbing, with the way it stretched out, it was just gigantic. And I ripped it all out, and I wound up all the balls, and I was going to reknit it, and then never did. And that yarn has been in my stash since before I met my husband. Before I went to college, actually. So I probably bought that early 20s, mid 20s. I don't know. I'd have to go look at Knitty to see when that pattern was released. And because of that, because it was just sitting there, and I was like, you know what? I'm never actually going to wear that sweater if I knit it. Let's reuse that. And I trolled for a gigantic shawl pattern because I had about 800 yards of this yarn. So I found Stephen West's Glacier Sweep, and I absolutely adore it. There's some pictures on my Instagram, but I have worn that thing non-stop since I made it, which is why it's in the car. I knit it. It took me a week to knit, and it was super easy. I loved it. I took a break from knitting everything else to knit that. And then I blocked it on some new blocking boards my husband gave me for Christmas. He's a very sweet man, and I'm really lucky that he works with a knitter. So and I'm friends with her, so she actually will drop hints to him and stuff. Or if I tell him what I need, I know I don't have to give him a link to something because he'll just go ask her, and then she'll help him with the budget or whatever, so that I still get to be kind of surprised. I don't ever have to send him a direct link of a tool and say, buy me this exact thing. I just have to tell him, this is what I need, this is what I want it to do, and then he works with her and he gets it. So that was actually really nice. So I got gigantic blocking boards from Harbor Freight Supply. So I have 8 because they're really gigantic. I mean, we're talking, these are obviously made for the floor, but they're really gigantic. But it was really nice because I could block the shawl out. The other thing he gave me for Christmas is a new ball winder, and I am so excited. In previous episodes, I talked about my beekeeper cardigan, and the ball of yarns I used was so big that I had to hand wind the yarn. It would not fit on my royal ball winder that my mom bought me for Christmas when I was maybe 22 or 23. So, and that sucker just wasn't cutting it anymore. I mean, the winding was still good, but the clips on the bottom to clip it to the table were broken, and so if I went too fast, it would kind of like spin itself off of the table, and it just wasn't holding the big balls of yarn. And I really wanted to. It actually was at the point that I kind of knew he was going to get me a ball winder for Christmas, and I still sent him to work with a ball of yarn for his coworker to wind for me, because I know she had her giant ball winder, and I did not want to hand wind a ball of yarn. Speaking of which, let's just move straight into, I don't really have finished objects. I have one, but I'll show it to you guys at the end, because I only have 2 in progresses to show you, and I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes because my son is homesick and he fell asleep on the couch. And great, I'm going to run away and do a podcast because my husband's at work, my son's asleep on the couch, and I'm hoping the dog doesn't wake up on. So my first in progress, I did have to bring it from the living room. I'm calling it my living room knitting right now. That's right, I'm fancy. I knit in different rooms of the house. But this is I've been working on this while I watch TV with my son, because he loves Netflix. Now that he's 4, he said that's his app now on the Apple TV, and he loves finding new shows. Did you know that there are 20 different seasons of Power Rangers? Because I did not know that, but I know now, because I've seen all the origin stories, and Power Rangers is ridiculous. So I started this maybe 2 days after Christmas. I took the yarn with me. So for Christmas, we spent Christmas here at home, and then my son and I flew to San Antonio to spend the week and spend New Year's with my sister and my mom and his cousins, and my brother actually came out from Sacramento too, which cracked me up because he was talking about getting my son a big present for Christmas, and we were going to celebrate in San Antonio. And he said something about a suitcase. I go, if you buy him something big enough to stick in a suitcase that's taking up valuable space, you better give it to me before we go to San Antonio. I am not having you schlep it there for me to schlep it back when I'm flying on an airline where I have to pay for my bags. Because it was the cheapest airline this time. Normally I would choose Southwest. I like Southwest. Southwest has the best legroom for me, honestly. I do not like flying United. And we flew American this time. You do you, whatever you like, but I'm a tall girl, and I do not like my knees being right in the back of the seat, and Southwest is actually really great and always a good price, so normally I fly Southwest. But the cheapest flights were actually a red-eye and American. I was so tired the next day. I can't sleep on a plane. So, and I tried to take a nap on Christmas Day, and that didn't happen, so I was really tired. That's why it took me 2 days to start this. But, so I started this sweater. Look how dark it looks. Oh, good. We're going to get a little bit of color thing. So this is the sweater. I'll take some better photos. It's been in my Instagram feed a little bit. You can kind of see, yeah, sorry, it's terrible, this lighting. So dark cable. It's called Welcome September. And I am knitting it out of cake worsted from Blue Moon Fiber Arts. And this may now, sorry, I gotta wake up my computer, it's half my light in this room. my screen. This is probably my new favorite worsted yarn. I love the way it feels. It's very cushy. I did not stripe my balls, even though it's 3 different. I have 3 balls total, or used 3 balls. I only took 1 ball with me, and that's all I got through. So I took my 1 ball of the cake worsted because it's like 540 yards, something crazy high, and another, I forget what my other project was. I know I took another project, just so I could have wearing, but this is what it looks like. I'm actually all full body done. I got 1 sleeve done, and I am maybe a quarter of a way done the sleeve. I've been knitting on it in the living room. I finished 1 sleeve, and then I just didn't have the energy to start the 2nd sleeve. These last 2 months have been very dark and gray. I get up before the sun. I mean, obviously it's changing now because we're going tomorrow's, or this weekend is the time change. But I was getting up before the sun came up, getting home. It was light for just a little bit, and then it was just very dark. And this is a very dark yarn, and my soul just was not in it. And I cheated on the sweater to knit that shawl I told you about that I haven't finished, that I didn't bring in. I knit a hat. I knit a fingerless mitt that I think I'm going to rip out because I knit the whole thing. I didn't finish the thumb. And it's just, I don't like it enough to knit the second one. And I think the yarn could be something better. So I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to rip it out and make it a hat. I think it'll probably look a bit better as a hat. But so I really like this. The funny thing about this pattern is I queued it. Sorry, I know I'm making a face. I queued it probably last December, so like a really long time, when I was like going through what do I want to make, what interests me, what kind of pattern would be cool, because I'm just kind of sliding back into moving from hats and shawls and socks to a sweater. I find my knitting kind of goes in cycles about what I want to knit. And I've actually got goals this year, and I'll talk about that at the end after we talk about my 2 projects. I'll talk about my knitting goals for the year. But, so I really, had been there. I bought the yarn. I bought the yarn for my birthday. I bought it when I bought the yarn for the beekeeper cardigan. So I really was looking forward to this. This was like I cannot wait to knit something for me. Christmas knitting is done. Let's do it. So I love the cables. I did not realize this sweater was in reverse stockinette. The pattern photos really do not do it justice for that, because it wasn't something I saw on the pictures, and it wasn't until I start really so I don't know how far into it other people go when they decide on a sweater and stuff, but so I had seen the pictures. I saw some other pictures, some pattern pages. I really liked the way it looked. I did buy the pattern. I read the first page. I looked at what gauge I needed, what yarn I needed, how much should I get, blah, 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 this. So I did, I did all that, but I didn't fully read through the pattern. I didn't look through it all. I didn't look at constructions. I have trust in patterns. If there's more than say 100 made patterns, actually I don't even know how many is made on this one. Can I even check? I have Ravelry open on a side thing, so it's like, can I even check and see how many there are on this sweater, because I bought it so long ago. So let's see. So it's called Welcome September. The pattern, it's written by Yellow Cosmo. Oh, there was errata. Maybe I should looked at it. I don't know. There's about 58 projects. So, 50, it's like nobody had really big complaints. And the errata's not working. So I just, they look great. So I was like, cool, I'm good to go. I'm super happy with that. I'm gonna knit that. So I started knitting it. I really liked it. I love the cable work at the top. But as I'm knitting the yoke, I keep thinking, when am I going to switch over to stockinette? It doesn't, shouldn't this part be stockinette? Because it doesn't look like there's like that big circle of your yoke and then switch to stockinette. And I'm still in reverse. And they keep reading. The whole thing's in reverse. Oh, I'm knitting a reverse sweater. I didn't know that. Do I like that? Am I okay with that? Like, and I'm thinking about that. I'm like, no, I'm actually okay with that. So I'm pretty excited because I like it. And I know it's going to be so warm and so cushy when I'm done. But I finally did cast on the other sleeve because it was probably a month where hadn't even started the other sleeve. So I finally started the other sleeve probably mid-month of February. I got my markers, going. So I'm working on it at nights when I'm in the living room with Evan. Because I got a couple of lights in there and I can see and stuff. And it's a sleeve. It's just circular. I'll probably, my goal is to finish it by the end of May. And I totally should. I have the sleeve to go and then picking up the button bands. And that's it. So as long as I don't let myself get too distracted by my next project, I will definitely finish it in May or in March because I still have 3 weeks to go. So, but I love this. It's a great length. It feels so warm and cushy. I think it's going to be a really great layering piece. I'm probably going to live in it on the weekends. I mean, I knew I needed another cardigan because I wear Beekeeper so much. So my next sweater that I'm going to show you, because it's also my next project, is also a really similar design. I don't know what I was thinking. I obviously love cables. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that until I really looked at my last 5-6 projects, and literally everything has a cable on it. What is wrong? Who loves cables more than me? The amazing thing that I think is that after 15 years of knitting, hold on, let me count. I started at 18, I'm 36, so I'm at 19 years of knitting. This last year, I learned how to cable without a cable needle. Yay! So that's probably why I've been enjoying all the cable knitting, because before I have knit other stuff. I've knit cable socks, I've knit other cable things in the past, and it wasn't fun. I mean, I like the look, but it wasn't fun. I don't want to mess with a cable needle. So, but I finally, with Evan's sweater, his was the first one. I think, no, maybe it was after that. But I don't know. I watched some video. I'm like, oh, that looks easy. I'm going to try that. And it worked, so I'm really excited. I can knit without a cable needle, so no big shocker. So now I am knitting the calligraphy cardigan by Nora Gahn. It's in the Mason-Dixon Field Guide 9 Revolutions, and I was going to bang it out for February, but my life and February did not go together very well, and I made that call at the beginning of the month. I'm like, this isn't even happening. Never mind that I would have had to steal the needle from this lovely other sweater because they're both knit on 7s. So I'm calling this my What Would Patty Lyons Do sweater because I love it. So this, how the cables feed down into stockinette, is kind of how I thought the other sweater was going to be, but it's not, and that's cool. So that's actually why I'm really excited, because they're similar but different. So, I mean, the knitting is similar, the cables are similar, they're like super similar straight down once you get past the cables, but they're different. So when I wear them, it's not like people are going to be like, oh, you knit the same sweater twice. So that's cool. But what I mean by saying the What Would Patty Lyons sweater do is over the last month or 2 months on Mason-Dixon, she has started talking about, or Patty has been posting about gauge and gauge swatching and what do you do about this and what do they mean when you measure a sweater for so long and all of this stuff. And I thought to myself, you know what? You bit yourself in the booty with Beekeeper. I love that sweater, don't get me wrong. But it is way longer than I thought it was going to be because I'm a dummy and I didn't realize my yarn was superwash. Because because the yarn is called Super Tarhi, and it's a Tarhi silk blend. That's a superwash, and it grew on me. So I thought I was going to end up with, I think a 17-inch sweater, and I ended up with a 20-inch sweater, and I love it. I wear it all the time, but it's longer than I expected. So I thought this time, after listening to Patty, reading Patty, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do what Patty says to do. I'm going to try it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? I have to knit it longer after I block it and rip it. I mean, I'll have more yarn if that's the case. But that's really the only thing that's going to change for me in the long run is how long it is. Like, if I don't like it when I'm done and I wash and do it, just pick up my stitches and do it again. So I knit my gauge swatch. In my yarn, I don't have my ball band in front of me, but it is Lolo Did It. It's her DK base. I think it's a whole lot of DK, but I'm not positive. And the color is Summer Nights, and it's this really lovely deep purpley, raspberry purpley color, and it's the variegation in it just from the dye process, because it's, you know, it's tonal variegate, is really nice. I almost got gauge, in that my row gauge is a little off. So I hit stitch gauge on 7s on my brand new needles that I bought at Stitches West, and I am not going to go into all of my purchases or Stitches West or anything else, because who needs to see more of that stuff? I just wanted to talk about the actual knitting today. But I bought new Tiago needles, which is also why I didn't have to wait on my to finish the other sweater, because I knew I was going to try sweat at 7s. So I swatched on 7s. I got gauge, but my row gauge is off by 1. And I think I think it's 27. It expects 27 per row, and I'm for 4 inches, and I'm getting 26 for 4 inches. So I'm a little bit bigger, if I'm understanding correctly. So this is the hardest part for me, is the spatial relevance between the numbers and the sizing. So that's why I'm working really hard. So I have this big, giant, it's not giant, I have a OneNote document where I'm taking all my notes about lengths and stuff. So what I've done is I blocked, I weighted it, I did exactly what Patty said to do for gauge swatch to get my real gauge. This is what it's going to be when it's done, and it's done washing and I'm wearing it. Cool. Good. Great starting point. Because I do trust my gauge swatch. I know that if I'm a consistent knitter, if I knit a gauge swatch, that's what gauge my sweater is going to be. So I do try to always do those, and I love having that little stack of fabric I can just pick up. So I knit that, and then she does a whole section on, or a whole spiel, I think she'd like it as a spiel, about you should never have your tape measure touch your sweater. Your tape measure touches your gauge swatch, but never the sweater. So when a pattern designer says knit for 10 inches, you're supposed to go, okay, here's my row gauge. To make that 10 inches, I need to knit this many rows. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm actually dedicated to counting every single row. I just split for the sleeves today while Evan was home sick. So I literally just did it. That's why it looks kind of like a little tiny hot mess down here. But I just did it. And so the first thing, because the pattern says knit for 2 inches and then do something. So I know with my row gauge, I actually need to knit 13 and a half rows. And obviously I can't knit 13 and a half rows, and I need to do everything on the right side. So I'm going to knit 14 rows between it. So it'll be slightly more than 2 inches. But just a little bit, because I also did the measurement about the full length from the sleeve opening down to before you start the hem, before you start the ribbing, and the pattern calls for 12 and a half inches. So I did all the math, and if I pretend, so if I do mine, I can get to 12 and a half. If I wasn't paying any attention at all to my gauge, and I just pretended I was getting the pattern's gauge, I would overshoot my math, and I would hit 13 inches long instead of 12 and a half when I block. So that's actually probably better for me because I am taller, and then the ribbing is an inch. So what I'm going to do before I even get kind of that far is I know I'm going to want at least 13 inches, because that's at least 14 inches, right? Because that's probably right where I want it to hit, because I want it to be not a little bit cropped, but right at my waistband when I wear pants. So I'm going to go knit go grab another sweater, a store-bought one that fulfills the same function in my closet right now that I just wear over work clothes, and I'm going to measure the length and be like, okay, do I like where this is? Where do I want it to hit? Maybe do a little roll up on my, like fold it up a little bit, be like, okay, do I like where this is hitting? Do I like where that is hitting? And then do the measurements. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. and then just hit where I want to go. But none of that would be possible without Judy Lines. So I'm going to try that, and then I'm going to report back my results, and I'm 99% sure that my results are going to be perfect, spot on. That's the best sweater you've ever knit. 1% chance I completely borked up my math. And in that case, that's still not Patty's fault. That's my math ineptitude and my spatial awareness and thinking about math and numbers, and yeah, that's not my strong point, or my strong suit. You want me to come up with a really great metaphor for this really complicated thing? I'm your girl. Thinking about how numbers relate to each other and distances, and yeah, that's not for me. So that's why this one's a little hard for me, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it for Patty, and then next time Patty is in town, I'm definitely taking a class with her, because I've started following her on Instagram. Obviously, she's been around for a really long time, but she's obviously putting out the things I need to hear. So I'm pretty into that. I'm really loving her style right now, so I'm really excited about the sweater. So that's my plan. Those are my two big projects. I have another shawl. I have a changing staircase shawl that I'm working on. And that's my go-to car one. And I think I'm about halfway through on that. And I think I showed that in the last podcast. And then that's it. That's all I have on the needles right now that I'm like into, that are not like random throw or hide them somewhere, because I'm definitely not working on them. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that's where I am on my knitting, and I'm pretty stoked. But I did want to spend a couple minutes talking about my plan for the year. I thought I was going to get to talk in January, but I didn't get any alone time in this sweet, sweet office here, so that I could not feel as big as a dork to talk to you guys. But wow, that glare. So my knitting plan. So a little bit of background. I have a boss who loves business books. Love them. And we, if you work for a small business or work for an entrepreneur or work in IT maybe, you may have heard of a system called EOS, which is a really dumb title. It's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it mashes a ton of stuff together. Because I'd read a lot of his books, that's one of the deals we have. I'm on a leadership team, part of EOS, that we agree to read all these books that he gives to us. So we've agreed to a book a month, and whatever he hands me, he knows I'll read. So when we started EOS, what I realized is that it really just kind of mashes up a ton of different books as advice and kind of rolls it into a system for you, which is great. That's what we needed. So I really like that system. My boss is working on a similar system, not quite based on this, but it's a personal-based system for really thinking about, I know it's really popular right now. There's panda planners, your daily planners, your bujos, your whatevers. You're planning out getting stuff done, how to move through. Mostly people do it for work though, so he's really focused on doing it on a personal level, and doing stuff. And so he had been talking to me about it. He wants me to go through a system because I'm a skeptic, not a skeptic, but as Evan would say, it's all hippy dippy baloney. God, I love that movie. Sorry. For those that you don't know, that's a line from Lego Movie 1. So anyway, so sometimes I think of some of the book stuff that we read. It's like, it's hippy dippy baloney. It's like we always joke with business books. It's like, you could have given me 5 pages and told me exactly what you needed me to know, but you gave me 150 that I didn't, right? You totally could have distilled this down. So that's why he kind of wants me to work through the system with him so he can plan it, and maybe see some stuff that like the skeptic will get hung up on, and let that stop them, because that's kind of the person I am, where it's like I get hung up on something, I'm like, do I want to do that whole thing? No. Like, so I figured out a place in the system where I got hung up, which was like, plan your future life. My boss is a single man. He doesn't want to be a single man, but he does happen to be a single man. And he talks about building your life, and what you want it to look like. And I realized for me, and this is because we were doing it in a short time span, and Eric and I both had very busy weeks, the 2 weeks that we were doing this. That some of the work that he was asking me to do, which, while very important work, is work that I needed to involve Eric in. Because how can I envision what my 10 years down the line looks like if I don't involve Eric? Because first you envision your 10 years, your 3 years, no, maybe we go 10, 5, 1, and you envision like what you want to accomplish in that time. Well, I'm a partnership. Eric and I get things done together. We work together. We travel together. We live together. All right, we're married. It's a team. It's a team function here going on. And so I realized as I'm writing out, and I have to think in terms of age. So the first thing I do, like when it's like write out in 2 pages what your life looks like in 10 years. The very first line, in 10 years, I will be 47. Eric will be 47. Evan will be 14. I have to think about that. Like, that's a big change in 10 years. I'm going to go from a 4-year-old to a 14-year-old. I'm going to go from a toddler to a high schooler. No, yeah, he'll be in high school when he's 14. He'll start at 14 and then turn 15 when he's a freshman. So, so that's how I started, and I start going through it, and I realize, well, some of this I don't have an opinion. Like, the things he wants you to think about is like, some of this are things I don't really have an opinion on, but Eric might. I should probably see what Eric thinks about this. Like the kind of house we live in. I have an opinion on the kind of house. I don't know where the house is. I know we're moving. We're probably going to move in 2 years. I don't know where it is. I don't know where we're moving to. So that kind of thing that I realized I needed to talk to Eric about. So I kind of got hung up on this part of the thing. But rolling it back around, it did make me think about knitting goals. And knitting is my hobby. It's my release. It's the thing I do to feel creative because I need to feel creative. I recognize that about myself. The act of constructing something makes me feel good. It kind of ties into the 3 hobbies I have. So my 3 hobbies, in order of favorite things to do, weirdly, even though one of them I go on and off for periods of time, but knitting, playing video games, and building Legos. And it's funny to throw Legos in there because I didn't build my first set of Legos until I was 35, 36. I think it was for my birthday when I turned 36. That was the first Lego set that I had ever gotten as my own Legos, because my brother had Legos growing up. We didn't get like a lot of Lego sets. I'm pretty sure Evan now owns more Legos than my brother ever did. Not that... And we were not one of those families that kept those Legos, so I don't even know where my brother's Legos are. And I really enjoy the act of building the Legos. I like the figurines. It's the first thing that I'm like, it's not useless after it's done. I do have plans when Evan stops tearing everything apart, he can play with my sets. But I like to build them. And then it's especially because I like the city builds. And the houses, and not so much vehicles, but buildings and houses, like building a city. I like to imagine the tiny Lego people having, because I like to write, so I imagine them in their little worlds inside this Lego world that I built. So to me, that's really creative, but it's also really cathartic. I'm following instructions. I'm not really having to think about how I'm going to build it. Kind of goes back to knitting. Somebody's told me how I'm going to knit this thing, how I'm going to build it. I build the instructions, but I find the pleasure is in the building. So I don't necessarily need the free play for me. I need the building and then the experience afterwards. And that's exactly how I feel about knitting. Sometimes I think about wanting to write patterns, but for me, the pleasure is in following well-made instructions and getting a really great thing at the end. And it's something bigger than the sum of its parts. So, 2 sticks and a string and I made a sweater, 2 sticks and a string and I made socks. So that kind of thing. So so I realized that is something really important to me, to feel creative. And I'm really lucky that knitting I can do while other people are around. I can do it by myself. I can do it on my lunch break. I can do it wherever, and I can do it with Evan in the room, whereas if I build Lego, Evan wants to build it with me. So sometimes he comes and helps me, and sometimes I build after he's in bed. Yeah, that's the thing. But I really like knitting, and I realized I need to come up with a plan. If I want to feel successful and that I have created the things that I want to create this year, especially because there's always more. There's always more that I want to do, bigger. It's easy, especially in our community, it's easy to feel like you need more yarn, you need to keep buying yarn. Sable is a thing that people talk about, is stash acquisition beyond life expectancy, and that is actually not a place I want to be. I like having a stash. I like, and I'm looking at it when I look up because I have it actually hanging up the thing, but I like having a little stash. I like having plans for it and knowing the plans can change, like the yarn that was for a sweater that became a shawl. And the plan can change because I see something better, but and I'm not going to feel guilty that I switched, but I don't want to keep a ton of extra stuff around. So if I want to keep buying yarn, which is also a thing I like, I love looking at new yarn, I love trying new things, I love the way they feel. If I want that to happen, I need to work through the stash I have. I actually sat down and came up with a plan for this year. And my plan is to knit one sweater a quarter for me. So that would be my one large project. I'm a large person, because I'm very tall, I take a lot of yarn. I'm usually knitting a large or an extra large size, depending on what the sweater is. So that is, say I'm a large person, here's that wrinkle, I should just sit up, so my goal is 4 large sweaters, so 1 a quarter. So that also limits me to how much yarn I can have. So when I look at the stash, how many sweater quantities worth of yarn do I have? And right now, because of Stitches West, I have enough sweater for all of the sweaters for the year. I don't know about that 4th one and what it's going to be, because it could be 2 different things depending on the yarn. I haven't really decided. I know the color, but that's really it. So that's like my starting point. And then I thought about, like, what else can I realistically, this goes back to the work thing and the rocks and stuff. It's like, what else can I realistically expect to finish with my time, knowing that I still want to build Legos, I still want to play video games, and I play them with Evan. But I really like Nintendo games. We bought a Switch I got with my bonus, in January. We decided that, we'd buy a Switch because we didn't have a game system on the TV, and Evan's old enough to learn how to play, and we set him a timer, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy to talk about that with anybody who wants to talk about limiting screen time and how to do that, but also teach hand dexterity, because he can do it. He's old enough. So we set screen times for him, but so that's why we went with the Switch. Also because I love Zelda and Mario, so why wouldn't I go with the Switch? I have to break up my time between all these things. So 4 sweaters a quarter, and then I realized I can knit at least 1 large shawl or large accessory, and 1 small accessory, so either a hat or a pair of socks. So that is those are driving my goals for the year. So I'm ahead of schedule, or I was ahead of schedule on my Q1 sweater, which was Welcome September, but I'm falling behind because the seductress called Q2 sweater, my calligraphy cardigan, is like, hey, leave me. And if I stopped knitting on that, I would totally finish the other one. So I gotta tell me, because I also want the finished project. This is also part of it. It's like, I have to set that deadline because I want the sweater. I want to be able to knit it. I want to wear it. It's halfway there and it's super warm and cushy. So let's get that sucker going. So those are my plans. So this year I've already knit 1 shawl. I knit my Q1 shawl, and I knit my Q1 hat. So I actually have that one next to me. I knit the hat that everybody else has knitted. I knit it, let me go back in Ravelry because I can never remember the right name. But it is the the beeswax hat. Sorry, and the yarn is Loft 22. I showed it to you guys last time. It's the Stepping Stone colorway and her DK base. Oh, this color is my jam. I would cover myself head to toe in this color. So good. I love this yarn so much that I used it for the I-cord bind off in the other sweater, or on the other shawl. So I love this. This is my new purse hat. So like when it's cold outside and I'm just running around at work, I stick a hat on my head and try to stay warm. So so I knit the hat, I knit the shawl. So this next quarter for Q2, I want to knit calligraphy. I want to finish a shawl that's been on my needles for a while, which is the Brambling Wrap by Bristol Ivy, and in that one, it's my first Inner Tarza project, and I really like it. I think I'm about a quarter done, and no, it is absolutely not cheating to stick a whip in your quarterly project, because I might also end up with more whips, because as long as I finish the other projects, I'm not going to feel guilty about starting stuff. I have another shawl that I'm working on too. That's just my travel project. But so I'm going to probably finish the Brambling shawl, and then it stitches. I'll show it when we get closer. Before I cast on, but I actually got yarn for Birds of a Feather by from Hue Loco. Not the same color that the pattern is built, the pattern is knit with in the pattern, but I really wanted to do the mohair again. The Brambling shawl is a mohair, and then it's in a really great gradient, not a gradient, just a really great color speckle combo, whatever. That was a little bit outside of my comfort zone that the girls helped me pick out. So that's my plan. And then for Q4, I will probably find another larger shawl. So like a 2-skein shawl, something big. And then for small projects would be a 1-skein project. So a pair of socks, a hat, a 1-skein shawl. Those would all fall in there. And in Q2, I need to knit a small skein shawl for my mom, because when I was in Texas, we went to a yarn shop, and she picked out a beautiful skein that should match her coat and the hat that I knit her for Christmas. And I said, okay, well, I will try to knit it for you for Mother's Day. So I gotta find a really great 1-skein shawl. So if you have one, it's a fingering weight, 440 yards, about 440 yards. A really great pattern for a 1-skein shawl, send it to me. Especially one that's kind of more longer, narrowish, because she's thinking about it more as a scarf. She's never gonna wear it as a shawl wrap kind of thing, but like as a scarf. I'm currently knitting Changing Staircases one, so any other suggestions with that one, because that one, I like that one, but since I'm about to finish that one, or that's one I'm working on, I kind of want to do a different one before I go back to it. So if you've got suggestions, let me know, because I want to see them all, and I'm trying to pick one up for my mom. So those are my plans for the year, and I'm hoping to get socks in there as a small project. I don't know what this month's small project is gonna, or that Q2 small project. Probably a pair of socks, either from last year's sock club, or a new skinny yarn that I picked up at Stitches. But those are my plans for the year, and I feel better having those plans for the year, because that also puts me down for 12 projects a year. Last year I finished 15, which is amazing. And I think that was 15, not counting a couple of hats that I knit same hat a couple of times. Excuse me. And the kids' sweaters, because I used one pattern entry for that sweater, because I knit that same sweater 5 times. So, and I used two, and I only have 2 Q entries for that. One for Evan's sweater when I knit it in the beginning, and then one for all the other kids' sweater, because I use the same yarn for all their sweaters in different colors. So I feel like it's a doable list for the year. I'm really excited about it. It actually motivates me to be like, okay, if you want to move on to this next thing, you need to finish working on it. Don't forget you want to work on this because you want to wear it. So like, I'm really excited about these 2 sweaters because I need office sweaters. It's cold in the office. And my office mate likes to open the door because we have a sliding door in there, and I don't want to tell him no because I'm cold. So I'd rather just have a sweater because I like wearing sweaters. So that's what's going on. That's my plan for the year. So that's what I'm working on. I'm really excited to be back. I'm hoping, I do have a new motto for the year, a new affirmation. And it is, it gets done if it goes on the calendar. If it needs to get done, it's on the calendar. Wow, I badly paraphrased my own affirmation. But anyway, the gist of it is, if I want to get it done, I got to plan for it and schedule it. So I have been planning and scheduling for knitting, planning and scheduling, for other stuff. I plan and schedule Evan's playing time with a timer so that he doesn't. Excuse me, so that he doesn't play too long, and by extension, I don't play too long because we play the games together. We play 2-player games. So that's my goal this year, is to calendar my fun, which doesn't sound fun, but it actually is because I know it's coming. I calendar my chores, and I'm getting things done, and I'm feeling like my knitting is progressing. My big goal for the year also, I set a goal for the year for knitting to learn something. And my goal is to learn how to do brioche because I'm confident in lace. I've knit quite a few lace things. I can do a fancy, I don't know, maybe I should put a big old fancy shawl back on there, but I'm not really enjoying lace weight these days. But I knit a lace weight shawl. A lace pattern doesn't scare me. A cable pattern doesn't scare me. I'm working on intarsia. I learned that 2 years ago, but I'm also thinking maybe Evan's sweater might be an intarsia sweater, depending on what I find for him. And then I want to learn brioche this year. So all the cool kids are doing it, but also it looks like a really fun. I've been following some pattern designers. Like there's one that seems to pop out a new brioche hat every month, and I really love them. And I want to, step up my hat game and make my hats reversible and make everything more fun. So I'm really looking forward to that, and learning new stuff about this craft. And hopefully the next time classes come around close to our area, I will get to take a class somewhere. So thank you for spending. Oh man, I thought I was going to go half an hour and we're at 45 minutes. So thank you for this first spending. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Feedback is much appreciated. I know the lighting is terrible. Next time if I have to record at night because that's my only free time, then I will bust out the photography lights that I bought for my little light box. Maybe that'll help make it brighter in here. But I'm trying really hard. I know I'm a fast talker. I'm trying to talk slower without making you feel like I'm talking too slow or that I'm not, that I think the viewer is not grasping what I'm saying. I'm trying to stop with the ums. So I'm working on my presentation and my discussion. So thank you again for sticking it out with me. I hope you are having fun with your knitting. Please leave a comment below. That would absolutely make my day. If you liked it, hit the like button. Wow, I sound like a real YouTuber now. Hit that subscribe button. Although, if you found me, I'm sure I showed up in your feed of similar videos. So if that's how you got here, I appreciate that too. So I hope you have a great March, because I'm recording on the 5th, I believe. I'll hope to put it up by, it's the 7th. Hopefully I'll have it up by the 8th. And I hope you're ready for spring and the time change. So have a great night, and I will talk to you all soon. Goodbye.